everyone, my name is FeliciaW. This is SheerH and AvanciC. Today you will be acting as a board of Netflix producers who will be reviewing our movie, which we anticipate will be accepted after this presentation.
Our film is titled Shadows of Liberty. In a dystopian New York pro-life patriarchy governed by men, the senator's daughter is forced to run away in secret and uncovers a family connecting different parts of New York to the core of an underground rebellion. So these are our four main characters. Our first character is Tara Reid. She is also our protagonist. She is the daughter to Paul Reid and Esmeralda Diaz. She is characterized as having long blonde hair, always being put together, and really organized with everything going on in her life. Most of her life was handed to her on a silver platter, always being handed the nicest clothes, the nicest cars, and apartments, making her initial character traits pretty snobbish, self-absorbed, and gullible to what's happening around her. However, as she becomes exposed to what's happening in the real life, her character traits are forced to shift, making her become more independent, brave, and empathetic throughout her journey. And her main drive throughout the film is to uncover all the wrongdoing that her father has done and to bring back the right to choose for women.
All right, so next we have Taro Diaz. He is 5'8". He has brown hair, freckles, and green eyes, and olive-toned skin. He can be described as quiet and observant. He wears hand-me-down scruffy clothing. He was left at the orphanage as a newborn with only a photo of him and his mother left on his chest. Because he is an artist, he has a sketchbook with pages constantly falling out. He feels set apart from the rest of the orphans because he knows what his mother looks like, and this becomes his drive, is to leave and find his mother and leave the circumstances that he's in.
All right, so next is Paul Reid. Paul Reid is the all-famous and powerful senator in New York. He is the father to Tara Reid and Taro Diaz, and Esmeralda Diaz's ex-husband. He can be described as tall, lean, egotistical, demanding, and always clean-shaven. His facade, however, beneath the facade of protection, he is reluctant to accept vulnerability both in himself and the people around him. Being scarred from his divorce from Esmeralda, he has a fear of losing the people that he loves, which therefore intensifies his need for control, leading to strained relationships and a sense of suffocation and fear of honesty, leading a farther drift between him and his daughter. His main drive throughout the film is maintaining his picture-perfect image of a government and strictly enforcing his ban on abortions. Lastly, we have Esmeralda Diaz. She has tan skin and long brown hair, which is often tied up. She is often wearing practical workout clothing, which shows her readiness for action. She lives in the underground subway stations of New York, which are uninhabited now, but she uses them as her pro-choice movement. She helps women find shelter and abortions, which she finds passion and fulfillment through. She's very careful and reserved with her words due to her past relationship with Paul Reid, in which him being very pro-life made her keep the second baby despite potential complications.
All right, so obviously our story takes place in the year 2056 in New York City. This can be kind of a picture of what the Upper East Side kind of looks like. Obviously we have large security cameras. This is the government's way to kind of instill fear in the civilians. And then this can kind of depict what the lower downtown Manhattan would look like, kind of resembling like a slum. A really important factor of our world building concept is how because due to the surplus of orphans, due to the mothers not being able to take care of their children, but still having to give birth, the orphanages or like group homes have been converted into like factories. So while the orphans are from ages 12 to 18, they are forced to do unpaid labor. And then when they turn 18, they can decide to either stay and earn an hourly wage or leave and pursue a higher education. And then this is the like AI health bot. So basically doctors have been like completely erased due to their they're not dependable anymore to not give their skills, and most of the doctors actually promote like human rights. So they have been replaced by these like AI health bots that would do anything that a regular doctor would, but when a woman is pregnant, they actually instill a lot of control over the the pregnancy.
In Act 1, Runaway, Tara, an academically driven student, goes to the Hamptons with her secret boyfriend for the summer. She tells her dad that she is going to a creative writing camp. However, when she comes back, the AI medical bot determines that she is pregnant. Unable to confide in her father or her secret boyfriend, she decides to run away with her limited knowledge of the world.
She takes a childhood photo and a USB containing the AI knowledge of her pregnancy with her.
Alright, so Act 2 we have Refuge. So Tara turns to her childhood friend Annabelle, and she ends up hiding her pregnancy, scared that Annabelle will end up telling her mother, which will then get back to her father. Due to the symptoms of her pregnancy, like for example morning sickness, it becomes like way more harder for Tara to hide her pregnancy, and eventually Annabelle finds out. Tara finds Annabelle's mother making a phone call, possibly to reveal her whereabouts, and then this sends Tara to downtown Manhattan to Margot Applegate, who is a family counselor for underprivileged orphans in downtown Manhattan. While Tara is trying to look for her birth records and showing the family counselor a photo of her and her father, a twist reveals that a boy from the orphanage is her brother. Together they discover their connection through a family photo and set out to find their mother, Esmeralda Diaz. Tara learns of her father's troubled past and his involvement in a nationwide abortion ban, revealing the complex dynamics of their family.
Okay, so Act 3 is called The Resistance. In this last heart-stopping act, Tara is faced with a life-changing decision amidst a fiery clash with Senator Reid. Fueled with newfound strength and family support, Tara strategically deploys AI to expose the government's secrets and release the manipulation grasp on women. As digital power shifts, will Tara's revelations be enough to inspire the rest of the women in New York to stand up to the government? Uncover this thrilling conclusion, produce our movie, and find out for yourself. Okay, so reflections. I would say my personal reflection for this project is definitely positive. I had a really fun time being able to collaborate with two of my best friends on this project. I think our issue, or at least for me personally, we had so many ideas in the beginning that really narrowing it down and coming with a concise story without plot holes and not jumping from idea to idea was a little bit difficult in the beginning, but I'm very happy with the overall outcome of the story.
My reflection, I really enjoyed working with friends also, as I feel like we could give each other more honest feedback. And I like that we chose the topic on abortion, especially given recent rulings, as we were all very passionate about it and had lots of ideas. And we did have a slight issue with time management, but I think we worked it all out in the end.
Yeah, so I would say the same as both of them. It was really nice to work with you guys and to kind of develop the story from just a basic idea. I loved getting to write about New York City, and I think that the significance of writing about New York City was how even some of the most liberal places were kind of, turned into a restrictive place and a restrictive society. And so getting to put into details about a city that I love was really, really exciting. Yeah. Questions?
Sure.
Was this inspired by any one of your research essays?
Yeah, I did mine on abortion. Yeah, and how it affects locals in Texas.
Why did you choose to include the sibling dynamic between Tara and Taro in the story? And what role does that play further on?
Okay, so first we wanted to start with Tara because we wanted there to be a character that faces a really difficult decision, that she has to make, and kind of has pressure from one side. She feels like she has a lot of class, and so she's very privileged. And then we wanted to kind of juxtapose that with somebody that has been, has struggled due to the abortion ban. And I think that their dynamic together is they actually end up helping each other. Obviously, Tara's appearance helps or leads Taro to find his mother, but Taro's kind of appearance in Tara's life actually leads her to learn a lot more about the society and about how others are affected. And we put Taro as the archetype of a mentor, because even though he's younger, he still can provide her with a lot of wisdom that he's just gained on his own by, living in a completely different situation as she has.
How do you connect Applegate to the third act?
Okay, so I thought that we went through a lot of different ideas of how they would meet. We had an idea where they ran into each other and they dropped the photo, but that was too Hallmark movie. So I was thinking that it would be smarter if, while Tara was at Annabelle's house, she stayed there for many days before Annabelle found out about her pregnancy. So we had her actually doing a lot of research. And then obviously, at the orphanage, there is family counselors. This is a real thing. and the family counselors work super hard to try and, especially in our world building, to try and reconnect those children with their families so they don't have to do unpaid labor to, benefit the government. So during her research, she actually found her, and then that was how they were able to connect. We thought that was a little less kind of cliche and corny. So, yeah.
Taya?
So, Tara's mother keeps Tara because of pressure that she feels from her husband, or from her ex-husband, or just from like the society around her.
So Paul Reed is the pro-life senator, which is her ex-husband, or husband at the time when she conceived Tara. Yeah. And he was very pro-life, so he forced her to keep Tara, despite like she could have like miscarried or like had some complications with her.
But then she ends up just giving up the child for adoption because
She like runs away from Paul Reed and starts like the underground like pro-abortion sanctuary.
And she was like really like obviously she couldn't take after leaving her husband, like she had to give everything up, and she even had to give up her own daughter, so she didn't have the financial stability to take care of this child. That's why it was a very hard decision, but she thought that he would have an even better life in the orphanages. Yes. Maya?
You said like, can you elaborate on like the underground like subway like pro-choice movement that what was her name?
Esmeralda?
Yeah, Esmeralda. Like.
So after Esmeralda gave up her child, she started out from nothing. And what we put in like our story writing is there was this cafe. It was called Rufio. I forget what it's called. It was basically called like Safe House, but like in Spanish. And so like in this cafe, there is actually like a elevator that goes down to like the underground subway, and basically starting from nothing, she started working there as like a waitress until she discovered that like doctors like were working in like the back rooms to like give women who were pregnant, like teens who were pregnant, like pills and medications to try and help them like get rid of the baby. And eventually she like discovered the elevator down to like the underground subway. And because there are so many doctors that quit their jobs because they, saw so many cases where women needed to give up their babies, but they were outlawed to do anything, she started finding some of these people and creating like a team of people who were like against the pro-life movement. And so, yeah, kind of starting from nothing, she kind of created that.
It's basically just like a safe haven for any women who like need abortions but know they can't go anywhere and get it safely. They would find a strength rebellion themselves and get it done there. Yeah, Tyler.
How big is the population?
It's New York. It's like I think the year was like 2056.
2056, yeah.
So it's like about the same population as now, but it's, if anything, it's overpopulated because there's no abortions that are allowed. So a majority of the kids are sent to the orphanages, which are overspilling, and so instead they get put to work for the government.
Is there like a lot more homeless people in the year 2050 in your world?
Yeah, so like with the advancement of like technology, obviously like a lot of jobs have been replaced by AI, like even like doctors. So there is a lot of unemployment and a lot of crime because like obviously like like police aren't really like on the streets. A lot of the allocation of funds actually goes to like the whole pro-life movement and making sure that women are keeping their babies and not getting rid of them. So actually a lot of like that time and energy gets spent into like watching the pregnancy and not even like, I don't know, caring about other priorities like and other societal problems in the city. Gerard?
Can you tell us how kind of it's in 2056, how this pro-life sentiment, it seems like it's countrywide, but like especially in like a liberal city like New York, how that's a drastic shift, how that came to be.
So I think that starts with like Paul Reed's backstory, if I'm being like completely honest. So Paul Reed grew up in Texas. He lost his mother in a pregnancy, and he grew up with like a father who struggled with like alcohol addiction and was unemployed for like the entirety of his childhood. And so he actually ended up like spending a lot of time and like volunteering in like the community church, and this was something that was great for him. But when he started spending nights there due to like his father's addiction issues, he actually discovered a secret society, and the secret society was trying to ban abortion within their state legislature. And this is kind of where it started for him, like the whole like pro-life movement. And I guess that once the secret society created a case enough big enough to go to the Supreme Court, then they actually ended up like winning, and it became
And it was
a
like something
nationwide
that he carried with him throughout his whole life, that to the point where he became the senator of New York and was able to inflict it on everyone else. It was his first thing he did with his power. Yeah.
As funded as like the pro-life movement is in New York, how does like the underground like rebellion kind of like get like gather the resources to overthrow such a well-funded like
So yeah, that kind of takes place in like Act 3, where like after gaining the support and like growing really closer with her family, they strategically find a way to overcome the AI, kind of shifting the technology power more in their like power, which then they use the USB chip as well to basically like just expose the government for all of the secrets and the manipulation they've had like on women. And then now it's kind of up to them to see if women can work together to help overturn the government.
Yeah, like the USB that Tara took, like the USB and childhood photo, it didn't just have like her own AI medical checkup because it was like on her father's like files. She also took like emails from citizens emailing her father being like, hey, I like need an abortion for this reason, and him like denying it pretty much every time, and that made her like doubt her father and like lose trust in him a lot.
Yeah, can I say something real quick? So something else that was on the USB drive, sorry. And this kind of ties back to your question, Owen. So something else that was on the USB drive is, if you think that like just the population is overpopulated, think about the prisons. Like due to women and doctors, if they are seen getting an abortion or like giving somebody an abortion, they're put into jail. And criminals are replaced with criminals essentially. So like murderers and like rapists that have spent their time in the jails, they are like swapped out basically. And this is kind of to juxtapose like the thing that's happening in our real world. Like people can be put into jail and can be criminalized just as any other like regular criminal would be. And so that also is like found out by like Tara and Taro and Esmeralda Diaz, and so they actually have enough sufficient evidence to build a case against the Supreme Court. Maya.
This isn't like a question, but I just wanted to comment, like I like how you talked about how like all of like the government funds goes to like specifically stopping people from getting abortions rather than like stuff that like they should be doing, like giving like birth control or like helping with like providing sex education for all those people, because I feel like that's like kind of prevalent in the real world where like a lot of like pro-life movement like organizations and stuff, they put more work into like banning abortion rather than like helping, like for example like fostering kids or like putting money in the foster system, sex education and all that. So I thought that was really good.
Does Tara end up getting an abortion?
Yeah, we have her end up getting an abortion, Chance.
Does the government ever find out about this underground safe haven?
Yeah, so in the third act, Senator Reed is able to finally trace where Tara is through the AI checkup, and that's where they have their like big convocation, and everything kind of falls into place.
Felicia?
So how does the government benefit from banning abortion?
So I think that consumerism is like very high, especially like in the city. So obviously they benefit from, and this is kind of what we took from like Kids on the Night Shift, is we took the idea of having underprivileged orphans just like working, doing unpaid labor, getting in like Kids on the Night Shift, for example, they were getting paid at very low wages. And so obviously the government like benefits off of this because they don't have to be paying people who have like a high degree or like adults or anything like that. So obviously they're benefiting off of it from like that way, but I can't see like any other way that the government like would be benefiting off of it from the abortion ban. And I guess that's like kind of our point, so I guess like the money right now is like the most important thing.
if there were to be like a season 2 or like a sequel, would it, do you think that it could be like another city doing the same thing, or like are there competing cities that are trying to overturn this, not just New York, like San Francisco or like?
I think our main focus was New York because it was like Paul Reed who was enforcing like the main like strict ban. I think if we were to have a sequel, it would focus mainly on like the women coming together and just like encouraging each other and kind of like building off each other on like how to get back to like what is normal and like how to gain back control of their own rights after being manipulated for so many years.
Alright, so it's mostly just in New York.
Yes.
How does this overpopulation affect the economy? Does the government have to fund the prisons, foster care? How does the government how does all of these offers affect like the taxes and people's like job opportunities?
So there's kind of a lack of jobs due to AI, and most of the government funding goes into AI as like doctors aren't reliable. So there's monthly like medical checkups to determine pregnancy, and like if you are pregnant, like the AI will check up on you more frequently to know if like you're suddenly pregnant and then like not like a week later. So AI and prisons are where like most of the government funding goes to.
Did most of the doctors quit just because they can't really handle the abortion?
I think they mainly got fired. A lot of them got fired. A lot of them got thrown into jail, and a lot of them just quit because they were tired of turning away people that they knew it would make their lives substantially better if they didn't have a child. And I also think that what was I going to say? Yeah, like kind of building off of Maya's point, like the most important part of this is that like the government is working so hard to just control the life of the baby, but after that baby is born, they are completely like neglected. And the division between having the upper class and having the lower class really shows that there is a group and there is a community of people that will suffer greatly from abortion being banned, and that the people who are actually caring about it and who are actually trying to instill this force are barely affected by the abortion ban.
Yeah, but we kind of like did that with our 3 settings. Like our first setting is like the apartments of New York, where it's like most of the richest people live, like Tara, Senator Reed, and that's like the smallest population. And then like on ground level is like homeless, like lower class, the foster care homes, which is like the majority of people, and then the underground abortion.
Yes, how does the government handle things like miscarriages or like situations where would be handled?
So that's where like the AI bots come into place, where they like are continuously monitoring your pregnancy throughout the entire like time. That way, like if there is a miscarriage, they can determine that it was actually like only due to health and not due to any like personal attempts, and also trying to capture like that beforehand so that they can make sure you make it all the way through your pregnancy.
So like in the situation where it would, like if you do have a condition where
they would make you follow through with the pregnancy.
So
or get thrown to jail. Yeah. Yes, Mr.
I just want to say I really appreciate how well you came together as a group over the last few days. Really, I mean, you made a big push to, take the next steps, not only with your slide deck, which is much improved from the last draft, but you worked out some story ideas, you answered some important questions. And you reflected on that a little bit, those group dynamics. So great job with that. And I just want to say how much I appreciate the genuine discussion that this presentation has stimulated in the class. I kind of let it run longer, just because it's a really important discussion. And you're synthesizing so many important conversations here about reproductive rights and privacy and AI, and there's power. It's intertwined with all of those. So from the government, big tech, and the intersection between the two. So I think those are going to continue to be really important conversations just, in our lives in the coming years as they are right now. So it was a very timely presentation and story vision. And there was one specific question I have about one of your characters that kind of ties into that. So Paul Reed, you mentioned, okay, so he's obviously this proponent of these repressive policies, and there's reasons why people might support repressive policies if you dig deeper into the character and their motivation and past. But do you have any, is there any reason why he's the way he is? Or like why he's prone to strange relationships? You said that at one point, but is there anything deeper about him that may be underlying his support for repressive policies?
So I think that due to like his childhood, he lost his mother at childbirth, and he grew up like feeling unwanted due to like his father like suffering from that loss. And I think that like because he grew up and like felt so unwanted, he would never want another child to feel like that. but I think that when he started spending a lot of time like in like the community church, he got kind of exposed to like these like different ideals of like what it means to, I don't know, I guess that
Be part of
it was kind of more republic, I guess like kind of more
Like, be part of a family, kind of.
yeah, like he kind of understood what it like meant to like be a part of a family, and then I guess like that kind of like he wanted to have like a family so bad that when he like ended up like marrying Esmeralda, he kind of, I don't know, like
I think like to add
he
on
wanted
to what he's saying was that when he joined the community church, he was in a really vulnerable state. So he was very easily influenced, and he was influenced so strongly that when he came to power, everything that they had taught him, he was like immediately influencing as well. And I think that was like his main like driving force.
So it sounds like there's a deeper trauma with him that was never really addressed properly.
Yeah.
And then of course when you put someone like that into power, that can really complicate things further and lead to some tragic outcomes. So I mean, that's what I'm kind of hearing
Yes.
a little bit. Might be reading a little bit more into that. But one more quick comment from Jensen, then we got to move on because we got another presentation. Thank you.
Wouldn't you kind of want to like abolish the foster care system then? It's like at a couple point there's like kids that aren't really like wanted.
Well, I think there's two different ways that you can go from like something traumatic that happens from you. You can either like see that like what happened to you is an issue and that you can learn from it and help others that are going through it, or you kind of have this almost like resentment in you and like this anger and this frustration. And I feel like the real issue was that once he was so easily influenced by this like pro-life secret society, he kind of forgot about like, I don't know, the freedom that like every I don't know individual has. So I feel like he wouldn't want to abolish that, especially if it's beneficial to the government.
Okay, thank you very much.